I left the British Museum's Nero exhibition with a pang of sadness and a sense that an injustice had been perpetrated. Not on me or any of the other visitors to the London location's excellent Nero, the Man Behind the Myth exhibition, but on the man himself, Rome's fifth emperor, the name that launched 1,000 coffee shops. I joke, of course, as Nero was clearly very much a man of his time and was imbued with all the ruthless and brutal qualities that entailed. But was he as bad as history has adjudged him to be? That is the question posed by this new exhibition. It begins with the famous, or possibly infamous, bust of the man born as Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, looking, shall we say, not his best. The marble head and shoulders dates from 50 to 100 AD, but the features on them are undoubtedly later and are unflattering. More accurate portraits during his own lifetime tell a different story. And so it seems to have been with Nero, that those who have written the history have strained every sinew to denigrate the man. This despite, or perhaps because of, his popularity among poorer Romans, an affinity that was not matched by Rome's elites. With the absurd caricature out of the way, we are treated to a softer, more vulnerable image of the man as a young teenager, and it was as a slightly older teenager that he became the final emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty at the tender age of just 16, 2 months before his 17th birthday. The small marble from 50 to 54 AD shows the youngster with a mournful expression, staring into the mid-distance as if he were to foresee the disaster that would befall his tempestuous reign. A stunning family tree beset with more marbles and other artefacts, such as the ornate sword of Tiberius, follows the line of succession from right to left with a powerful-looking Nero at the end. We are then treated to another bust, this time of a partially hooded Nero, as he was portrayed performing a sacrifice in his religious role as Pontifex Maximus, or High Priest. A bust of Seneca is also present, who Nero would later accuse of conspiring against him and who he would order to commit suicide at the nadir of his 14-year reign. But before this moment, the exhibition highlights the diplomatic skill the young emperor possessed, especially following the uprising led by Boudicca in the far-flung and restive province of Britannia. Some fascinating items from the Iceni destruction of Camalodunum, modern-day Colchester, are present, with the violently slashed jawbone of a Roman legionary on display, close to a beautiful Romano-Celtic neck torque and a gleaming haul of deceptively new-looking gold jewellery. But there were chains too, which were used for the forced labour the Roman regime inflicted on the Celts on the Druid stronghold of Anglesey. There are also some of the first handwritten documents from Britain in the form of wooden writing tablets from London. After the lightning raids on the settlement, as well as those on Colchester and Verulamium, St Albans, Nero moved quickly to rebuild the trade centre, institute reforms and install it as the administrative capital of the province. With the rebellion put down, he instituted a more emollient governor on the province to reduce tension among the conquered population. The exhibition also highlights Nero's reputation as a showman, both as the first emperor to appear on the stage and as the sponsor of breathtaking spectacle in the form of chariot races at the Circus Maximus and brutal gladiatorial combat, and the people loved him for it. The emperor also embarked on a number of grands projets with innovative architectural and engineering feats and changes on a scale not seen since Augustus. Nero fell foul of the Senate, in part due to the influence he allowed the women in his life to have and to exert on administrative affairs. This was particularly the case with his mother, Agrippina, and his first wife, Claudia Octavia. However, that ruthless streak would return when Nero suspected his mother of plotting against him, and he ordered her death in AD 59. Claudia Octavia would also fall victim following divorce, exile, and ultimately execution 3 years later. Nero's second wife, Poppaea Sabina, most likely died as a result of a complication during a miscarriage, and Nero was said to have mourned her deeply. Clever animations and audio-visual presentation are employed in the exhibition to illustrate the magnitude of perhaps the defining moment of Nero's reign, the Great Fire of Rome in AD 64. Contrary to the claim that Nero fiddled while Rome burned, that is to say he played music while his city was gutted, he actually led the relief effort and supervised reconstruction. He did, however, blame the fire on the emerging religious sect that would later become known as Christians. Many were rounded up and burned to death, the punishment being seen to fit the alleged crime. Ultimately, despite his popularity with ordinary people, the Senate had it in for Nero and felt disrespected by the emperor. The Pizonian Conspiracy was launched in AD 65. Nero uncovered the plot and forced the ringleaders to commit suicide. This also included the Stoic philosopher Seneca. Further plots ensued, however, and Nero lost the support of the army, and in particular the previously loyal Praetorian Guard. The Senate, emboldened by the open rebellion, had Nero declared an enemy of the state, and on the 9th of June AD 68, faced with no way out, Nero committed suicide. He was 30 years old. What followed was chaos and the infamous Year of the Four Emperors as rival factions vied for control. Ultimately, Vespasian, Nero's former governor-general in Judea, won the tussle. Nero's popularity remained, and in the ensuing years rumours that he was still alive circulated, and there were a number of fake Neros claiming to be the departed emperor. I came away from this exhibition with the impression that this youthful populist crowd-pleaser had ultimately met his match in the form of the establishment, and no amount of support from the lower orders would be allowed to interfere with their agenda. Nero the victim may be too strong a conclusion, but history has certainly misrepresented him. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like, share, and most importantly subscribe, and thanks very much for watching.